Imagine opening your bank account one day and seeing a very impressive number. You're making more money than ever, but that still doesn't guarantee that you'll become wealthy. Because two people can earn the exact same income, yet 10 years later, their financial lives can look completely different. One person uses their money to buy things that lose value. The other uses money to buy assets that have the potential to generate even more money. And that is the difference between simply having an income and actually building wealth. Today, we're going through 5 wealth-building habits that people who understand money tend to use. You don't have to become rich overnight. You just need to learn how to give every dollar you earn a job. And the first step starts with something surprisingly simple. You need to know exactly where your money is going every single month. Take Mike, for example. He earns $6,000 a month. That sounds pretty good. But money usually doesn't disappear through one huge purchase. Instead, it slowly disappears through dozens of small expenses every single day. Maybe it's just a few dollars for your morning coffee. It doesn't seem like much. Then there's $12 for lunch, another small expense that feels harmless. Then you spend $30 while shopping without really thinking about it. And then there's that random purchase you made simply because you wanted it. Each expense seems harmless when you look at it by itself. But add everything together at the end of the month and the total can be surprisingly large. That's why you should track every single expense for at least one full month. Separate your money into 3 clear categories: necessities, wants, and money for your financial future. One popular guideline is 50% for needs, 30% for wants, and 20% for saving or investing each month. But remember, this is only a guideline. Everyone has different income levels, financial goals, and living costs. What matters most is knowing exactly where your money goes, because you can't effectively control what you don't measure. Now for the second method. Don't wait until the very end of the month to start saving money. Because if you wait to see how much money is left after all your spending, there's a very good chance there won't be much money left at all. Instead, reverse the order and pay your future self first before spending on everything else. Get paid, then save and invest your chosen amount before you start spending the rest. Because once money sits in your everyday spending account, you'll always find another reason to use it. And by the end of the month, you hear that same familiar sentence, "I'm broke again." The solution is actually quite simple. Automate the entire process before temptation gets involved. For example, if you decide to put $1,000 towards your future every single month, set up an automatic transfer as soon as your paycheck arrives, before you have time to spend it. You don't have to fight yourself or rely on willpower every single month to make the right decision. You don't have to keep asking yourself, should I invest this month or should I spend it instead? The decision was already made before you even had a chance to spend that money. After 1 year, saving $1,000 a month means you've accumulated $12,000 in total. That's the power of turning financial discipline into a simple, automatic system that works in the background. But there's another financial trap that can be even more dangerous over the long term. It's when your income goes up and your spending quietly goes up right along with it. You get a raise, and suddenly you start thinking about buying yourself a much nicer car. Then you start looking at a bigger, more expensive apartment in a better neighborhood. More restaurant meals, a new phone, better clothes, subscriptions, and expensive upgrades everywhere. The problem is that your income can rise quickly, while your expenses can chase it just as fast. Eventually, it can feel like you're running on a financial treadmill that never really takes you anywhere. You're earning more money and running faster every year, but your actual wealth is barely moving forward because your lifestyle keeps getting more expensive too. Imagine your income suddenly increases by $1,000 every single month. You don't have to spend every single dollar of that extra income just because you earned it. You can absolutely use some of that extra money to improve your quality of life and enjoy yourself. But let another portion continue flowing into savings and productive assets that can grow over time. Sometimes, one of the wealthiest decisions you can make is simply walking out of a store without buying something you don't really need. Because the goal isn't to live miserably. The goal is to let your wealth grow faster than your lifestyle over time. And this is where your money can finally start working for you instead of simply sitting there. Instead of simply holding money, you can put some of it into assets that match your goals and personal risk tolerance. Cash is extremely important, especially for emergencies, unexpected expenses, and short-term financial needs. But for money you won't need for many years, Some people choose assets with greater long-term growth potential. Think about planting a small seed in the ground and giving it enough time to grow. At first, it doesn't look like much at all, and you may barely notice any progress. But with enough time, patience, and care, that tiny seed can eventually grow into something much larger. Long-term investing can work in a similar way when you give your money enough time to compound. The market doesn't go up every single year, and investors should expect periods of uncertainty. There will be periods when your portfolio falls, sometimes significantly, even when your long-term plan hasn't changed. That's why diversification can play an important role in managing investment risk across different types of assets. You don't want your entire financial future depending on one single asset, company, or investment decision. But one of the most powerful ideas in investing is the simple concept of compound growth. Money you earn can be reinvested, allowing it to potentially generate even more money over time. A small investment can become much larger when you give it enough time and continue adding money. And the longer you stay invested, the more opportunity compounding has to work in your favor. Image Teacher R. 10 years can make a meaningful difference, especially when you consistently invest along the way. 20 years can make an even bigger difference because your previous growth can continue generating additional growth. And 30 years can completely change the picture when consistent contributions and compounding work together. That's why time can be one of the most valuable assets an investor has, especially when starting early. Now, imagine you've spent years building an investment portfolio worth $100,000. Then one day, you see a beautiful luxury sports car and immediately start imagining yourself driving it. You think about taking $30,000 out of your investments just to pay for that car. So, $30,000 leaves your investment account and becomes a car sitting in your driveway. You get the car, but your investment portfolio is now $30,000 smaller than it was before. And that's when you realize something extremely important about the cost of spending invested money. That $30,000 could have continued growing and compounding for decades if you had left it invested. For example, at an assumed 7% annual return, $30,000 could theoretically grow to about $59,000 after 10 years. Think of productive assets like a goose that lays golden eggs for you over time. You can enjoy the eggs while keeping the goose alive, healthy, and productive for the future. But if you kill the goose every time you need money, those golden eggs eventually stop coming. Your investments can work in a similar way when you give them enough time to grow and compound. The goal isn't to never spend your money. It's to avoid constantly destroying the assets that can build wealth for you. So, what are the 5 wealth-building methods we just covered in this video? First, track your money and understand exactly where every dollar is going each month. Second, automate your savings and investing so you don't have to rely on willpower every single time. Third, control lifestyle inflation when your income starts increasing and your spending wants to follow. Fourth, put long-term money into assets with the potential to grow and compound over many years. And fifth, protect the capital you've worked so hard to build instead of constantly spending it away. Because wealth usually isn't created by one massive decision. It's built through thousands of small decisions repeated for years. You don't need to start with $100,000. You can start with 50. The amount matters less than the system you build. Start small, stay consistent, and give your money enough time to work for you.
Thank you so much for watching. If you found this video helpful, please leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss our next videos. Your support really helps us create more content about money, business, and financial freedom. See you in the next video.